A for refusing to financially support my parents and explaining why when my brother asked. I, 38F, have been living in a different state from my family for over 10 years. I've supported myself the entire time and rarely asked anyone for help. I didn't grow up with my parents, my grandmother supported and raised me, and I never had a close relationship with them. Last year I went on vacation with my siblings. During the trip, I found out that my youngest brother, 29M, who makes the most money out of all of them, has been paying the mortgage and most of our parents' living expenses. He asked me why I wasn't helping financially. Since he asked directly, I answered honestly. I told him that our parents didn't support me growing up, and that I still remember when my grandmother asked me to write them a letter requesting financial support for my education. My mom wrote back to my grandmother saying she should teach me not to ask them for money because what my dad earned was just enough for them and my 3 siblings. My grandmother let me read that letter, which I don't think my mom knows. I told my brother that I contributed financially when we immigrated and that I paid rent when I lived with them for 2 years. I also used whatever money I earned to help support my grandmother, who actually raised me until she passed away. After I moved to a different state, I've been completely on my own with zero financial help. Because of that history, I didn't feel responsible for supporting our parents now. Apparently, my brother told my mom. She confronted me via text and accused me of being disrespectful as a child. I explained my side and the experiences that shaped my feelings. She mentioned times she believes I was disrespectful, including verbal and physical conflicts. I explained that these incidents didn't happen in isolation and were often triggered by her actions, such as trying to persuade my grandmother to send me somewhere to dance for money or deliberately ruining my school uniform by putting soy sauce on it. I told her she had not treated me like a mother should when I was growing up. The conversation didn't go well, and afterward my mom stopped talking to me. Eventually the rest of my family did too. Now I'm basically no contact with all of them. I feel like I told the truth and set a reasonable boundary, but somehow I'm the one who ended up alone. A for refusing to help financially and explaining my reasons when asked. Info. So just to clarify, my siblings paying most of my parents' mortgage isn't actually a hardship. The cost is split 3 ways between 2 brothers and 1 sister, and they all still live in my parents' home. I've never lived there and don't even have a room in that house, so I'm being asked to contribute to a household I was never part of. Their mortgage is under $2,000, which is cheaper than what most people pay for rent right now. My siblings divide that amount based on income. My brother pays the most, and the other 2 split the rest. They also split utilities and groceries. My parents also receive fixed income from Social Security, which they use to travel back and forth between 2 countries. They're not struggling. They simply want to keep their same lifestyle without adjusting their spending. I'm married and we don't have kids yet. My husband and I set up our finances so either one of us could cover all household expenses alone if necessary. That's intentional for if I get pregnant, I'd be able to stop working for a while without financial issues. My parents and siblings see that stability and assume it means I have extra money to give them, basically because my husband could support me. Realistically, they could sell their house and make a significant amount of money, which would easily support their retirement back in my home country. My siblings are in their late 20s and early 30s, so they're fully capable of moving out, renting their own places, and building their own independent lives if they wanted to. But that's not what they're choosing to do. Living together is simply cheaper for everyone involved, and it benefits all of them. That's their choice, but it doesn't mean I'm required to subsidize it. So no, I don't think I'm the asshole in this situation, which is why it's confusing to be treated like I am. 2 Soy sauce was the most accessible thing for her to use because it was one of our main seasonings at home. When I was a teenager, school meant everything to me. It was my escape, and the only path I saw toward a better future. Damaging my uniform wasn't random. It was the easiest and most effective way for her to hurt me. It was a big deal too because I only had 1 uniform, which means I hand wash it as soon as I get home, then let it air dry overnight and wake up early in the morning to iron it. I basically had to hand wash it and dry it using an iron just to make it to school that day. Think of it like someone deliberately pouring red wine on a wedding dress. It's meant to destroy the one thing they know matters most to you. 3. Yes, during that time, going abroad to dance is often used as a cover to lure girls into trafficking. It's presented as legitimate work, but many end up exploited once they get there. I hope that helps clarify it. My brother-in-law is making claims that he knows my secret, and I don't understand. My brother-in-law, 30M, is my sister's 29F husband. We live on opposite sides of the country and my sister and I aren't that close, so I'd say that we don't know each other very well. We see each other at family gatherings maybe a few times a year, and he's always come off as a very average, kind of quiet guy. Around 2 months ago, I received a text from him out of the blue. It wasn't to check up on me or asking how I'm doing. The message said he's aware of what's going on, but that there was no need for me to worry and he'd keep it hush-hush. I wrote a quick message back asking what on earth he meant, But all I received back was another reassurance that I had nothing to worry about, and that he was on my side. At that point I gave up and assumed it was some weird joke, even though my deal has always been pretty serious. Recently I was in a Zoom call with my parents and sister. The first thing my sister asked when she saw me was, "Are you going to tell everyone the truth, or just my husband?" Obviously I was confused and I mentioned the text message BL sent me, but my sister still seemed angry at me and I have no idea why. The next day I called up my Bill and asked him what the hell is going on with this. He was very cagey on the phone and just kept repeating rhetorical questions back at me, like, "Do you know what's going on?" I'll admit that I lost my temper at one point and snapped at him, since he wasn't giving me any answers. That was a bad idea since this morning I got a new text from Bill telling me that he'd tried to do me a favor, that I clearly don't appreciate. He mentioned, "We'll see what happens this weekend," which is the next time we're all meeting for a late Thanksgiving. Honestly, I'm terrified. The thing is, I have no idea what secret my BL could possibly be talking about. I don't live a very exciting life and I mostly keep to myself. There's a still part of me that's scared of whatever truth he says he's about to reveal, even though I don't think I've done anything wrong. What do I do? Date. Hi everyone. Just before Thanksgiving, I posted about my BL harassing me over a secret. Well, Thanksgiving came and I was terrified. I almost backed out entirely and stayed in bed all day instead of going to the Zoom meeting. I did end up going in the end, and the first 20 minutes were incredibly awkward. My family and I aren't really compatible at the best of times, but there were silences that lasted minutes. Eventually my mother gave in and said, "We'd better get this over with." I've never been more terrified in my life. I somehow snapped my phone case in half because I fidget with things when I'm nervous. My BL started talking about how he'd tried to keep my secret for me, but I clearly wasn't grateful. And then he told everyone, "You should know that she's gay." Everything got really awkward again except for a different reason. My whole family already knows I'm gay. I have no idea how BL never found out before now. I don't get on with my family, but me being gay has never been one of our issues. It's something nobody bothers me about and we don't talk about. My sister lost it with him immediately and said, "Really? This is what you've been going on about?" We ended up ending the Zoom call very early since my parents decided they were tired, but I think they both just didn't want to deal with this anymore and were sick of me/BL. I've decided to block BL's number in my phone, since other than this we had no messages anyway, and I'm not going to be visiting my sister anytime soon.
AITA for not letting my friends use my backyard for their wedding, because they do not want to bring a +1. Here's the situation. Last summer, I bought my grandparents' house. This house was a hangout spot for my friends, and I threw out our childhood. This includes my friend Dave. The house has a sizable amount of land, which includes a lake and a gazebo. I was supposed to buy the house with my now ex-girlfriend, Leslie. But going through the process of getting approved to buy, I found out that she has massive amount of credit card and personal debt that she hid from me throughout our 4 years together. I decided to break up as a result. That was about 6 months ago. I met Leslie because Dave's long-term girlfriend, Kim, is Leslie's cousin. Dave and Kim are engaged and set to get married in April. When I was buying the house, they asked if they could have the ceremony at the gazebo, which I agreed to do. In December, I started dating again. Leslie has not taken this well at all. She thinks we're going to get back together and has tried multiple times to make that happen. I have told her in no uncertain terms that isn't happening. Dave and Kim have asked me to not bring a +1 to the wedding for Leslie's sake. I have told them that this request is ridiculous. This wedding is happening at my house, using my land, and I am not allowed to bring a date because of Crazy Ex? If that is the case, then they need to find a new venue for the wedding. They are pissed about this given the short time frame of when the wedding is supposed to happen. So, we are at an impasse. Ida? Edit. I have seen a few things brought up a number of times in the comments, so I will quickly address them here. I am fully aware of the liability issues, which is why I purchased, and they reimbursed me for a special event insurance policy, which will provide 100% coverage for any damages, claims, injuries, etc. to any of the property or persons up to $2 million. It is one of the first things we did after I agreed to have the event in my home. The wedding will have a maximum, if every comes, of 75 guests, 5 catering staff, and 5 security staff. Security is because this is an open area that anyone walking past can access. The house has hosted events twice this size, and logistically it has been fine. On the property are 2 cottages, one with 1 bathroom and the other with 2 bathrooms. The only portion of my house that will not be locked during the wedding is the finished basement. The basement has 2 bathrooms. Every person who is single, i.e. not in an established relationship, received an invitation with a +1, including me and Leslie. This talk came after I sent in my return card and indicated I was bringing a +1. Now, they are saying they do not want to have the +1 because Leslie blew up about it, and they are afraid of a blow-up at the wedding. Leslie indicated she intends to bring someone on her card. I do not know if she will actually bring someone. Update. So, I met with Dave this morning. We talked for almost 2 hours about everything. I laid out that I thought he was, at best, a shitty friend. I went through our long history of various things over the years that has me questioning our friendship. That was the bulk of our conversation. We then turned to the breakup with Leslie and the shit show of the last 6 months. Throughout the last 6 months, despite Leslie's craziness, I have bent over backwards to try and accommodate her feelings. She has shown up to my house in the middle of the night. I did not go for a restraining order. When I go out, I do not go to places I know that her and her family like to go. She has implied to her family and mutual friends at various times that I cheated and or that I took advantage of her financially, neither of which is true at all. I have held my tongue to not embarrass her about these things in front of her friends and family. Dave knows all that, and yet is demanding, once again, that I put Leslie's feelings before my own. I said, you and everyone need to stop coddling her like she is a fucking child. Dave concedes that Leslie has been crazy and ridiculous since the breakup, but he says she feels she did not get closure after the relationship. She wants to have an evening where she can talk to you to get that closure. He also told me that Leslie has been very vigilant about paying off her debt and paid off almost $10,000 of the credit card debt. She wants to talk to me about her progress, to see if that might cause me to change my mind. It will not. I asked him, so, do you expect me to go to the wedding and talk to her? Because I have her blocked everywhere, and date or not, I do not plan to say a single mumbling word to her. He said, I fully expect she would lose it if y'all do not talk at the wedding. I told him if that is the case, then, for the good of my property, I can't have Leslie come. If she is so unstable that I need to be coerced into a conversation with her, she is too unsafe to be a guest in any capacity in my home. So, I have told him, based on what he has told me, Leslie cannot come to my house or on my land. I am willing to still have the wedding at my place, but I cannot trust Leslie won't do something given what you are telling me. Dave lost it at this point. He said, fuck you and your shit. I don't need it. So, I said, then the wedding is off. He left. So that is the state of things. AITA for laughing about a pretend allergy. Parents gave up wanting responsibilities for Thanksgiving meal about 5 years ago. My house is big enough to host, and I enjoy cooking, so for the past 3 years the duties have fallen to me. I make the turkey, the stuffing, mashed potatoes, and gravy and rolls. Others bring sides and things like chips and drinks. This year, my brother and his wife came into town early and stayed over. Thanksgiving mid-morning, my sister-in-law wanders into the kitchen while I'm making stuffing. She sees my pile of breadcrumbs /celery/onion/sausage in a bowl and me sauteing mushrooms. She says, what are those for? I told her they were for the stuffing. She put her hands on her hips and said, freaking out, you can't put mushrooms in the stuffing. I'm allergic. I was stupefied. I said, when did this happen? And she just looked at me like I was an idiot. So I said, when did you discover you're allergic to mushrooms? She scoffed and said, I've always been allergic. Now the thing is, when I make my stuffing, I like things to be well incorporated, and I always chop the mushrooms small after I saute them. So they're not actually apparent in the mix as mushrooms among the other ingredients. I burst out in a laugh and said, well, that's interesting, because you weren't allergic last year, and you weren't allergic the year before. She asked me what I meant, and I told her I'd been making stuffing like this every year she's eaten it, and furthermore she's raved over it, and had zero allergic reaction. So maybe she's not allergic. Maybe she just thinks she doesn't like mushrooms. She got pissed and went to my brother to tell him, and she told him she wanted to leave, but he wanted to stay. So she spent the entire rest of the day shooting daggers at me with her eyes. They were supposed to stay through the weekend, but they left Thanksgiving night. I confided in my mom and my sister yesterday, and they kind of chuckled and said it's not my fault. But my brother texted me this morning that I could just not use the mushrooms, and that I made his wife feel stupid for no reason. I maintain I didn't make her feel anything. Ada? Update. First, thanks everyone. Even those of you who said I was TH. You gave me a lot to think about. Just got off the phone with my brother, and I'm sitting here with a beer, truly at a loss for words, but here goes. He admitted that my SIL, who has been eating my stuffing and my sister's green bean casserole, this has been verified, for a few Thanksgivings now did not know there were mushrooms in either. Neither has she ever told anyone, not my brother, her husband, not my mother, sister, me, of any allergies before now, because she doesn't have any, apparently, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. She has like a phobia, I guess you would call it. Maybe that's not the right word, but after watching a TikTok video about some edible mushrooms growing on dead skin on feet or in human bodies, she believes she could be infected by eating them. He tried assuring her it wouldn't happen, but she cited other videos she's watched about spores, etc., including the show The Last of Us, which he explained is fiction created from a video game, but she swears it is based on fact and still possible. I feel like we have bigger problems here than stuffing. I have encouraged him to try to get her to see a doctor to talk about this.